Hello everyone, welcome to my review of Season 5, Episode 9 of Arrow, titled, What We Leave Behind. This episode, along with the Episode 9 in Season 3 of Flash, is the mid-season finale. And in this episode, I thought we would get a reveal of who Prometheus is, but what we kind of get is more of a red herring, a bait and switch, a tease, I guess, maybe, who knows. But in this episode, a few things are going on. In this episode, finally, Evelyn shows that she is a spy in Team Arrow. She has betrayed everyone in the group. She has told Prometheus who their true identities are, and in the very beginning of this episode, we see Prometheus really take on Curtis / Mr. Terrific and beat him up pretty darn bad. Including stabbing him, of course, in the shoulder. Not a lethal stab in any way. I think purposely done to show that he is capable of getting at anyone in Team Arrow at any point in time and potentially killing them, which sets a lot of fear within the group, specifically fear within Oliver Queen, because he doesn't obviously want to see his teammates, friends, the people in his team get killed in any way. He is very frightened of this, and this also leads to Curtis finally having to come out and tell his husband that he is a vigilante, that all the late nights, the bruises, the cuts, and all that has to do with him going out with the Green Arrow and fighting crime. And this leads to a very emotional conflict between the two, because obviously his spouse doesn't want him doing it anymore, for fear of Curtis eventually dying. It's a valid concern, I think, from anyone who is personally involved with anyone who is a vigilante, not only Curtis's husband. I think this is something that we've seen many times throughout the comic book live-action world and in the comic book world itself. It is something that I think is always going to be a concern. And in this episode, Curtis had to choose between being a vigilante and having this person be his spouse, and he chose vigilantism, which is very interesting, because for him, it feels like a higher calling. It's something that he feels he needs to do. It's something that he also is kind of getting a rush from, or something of that nature. He's getting a feeling that he can't find anyplace else, and he wants to continue having that feeling, kind of a drug or an addiction or something like that. But shifting gears from that, we get a very quick scene where Evelyn Sharp betrays everyone. And I thought they kind of rushed it a little bit. I thought she rushed it as a character, but alas, that happened. And her reasoning for betraying the team, I thought, was kind of fuzzy or kind of confusing, because I think it has to do with her finding out that Oliver / Green Arrow was a murderer, that he committed all of those crimes from way back in Season 1, all of those murders. And I guess this kind of tarnished his reputation to her as her hero or something like that, so she decided to turn on him, as well as turning on the rest of the team, who I don't feel like it was very fair to them. But alas, she is now a bad guy. She is a character that I personally don't really like. I'm glad they actually took this turn with her, because now they can fight them. I think I mentioned my feelings about her in the previous episode, or at least the episode before the crossover. I'm curious to see where that is going to happen going forward. I'm also curious to see what happens with Prometheus going forward, because we got a lot of information in this episode, but we really didn't get anything that was quite revealing. We got a few flashback scenes with Oliver in Season 1, kind of a storyline they made up for this episode, where he took out someone on the list, of course, and potentially that's who Prometheus is, or perhaps it is the illegitimate son of that person who Prometheus could be. And I thought, this can't be it. This is a red herring. This is ridiculous. There's no way it's this kind of just person, or they've just made up out of nowhere and there's no real story to it or anything like that. I thought that would have been a little too lazy. I think Prometheus is really just playing more mind games with Oliver and Team Arrow. And he played some pretty big mind games in this episode. When Oliver goes to confront Prometheus, he sees the scene laid out just like he left it back in the season 1 story that they flash back to. It was a scene very reminiscent of something you would see out of a Batman story. Also, the big kind of climax of this sequence is Oliver accidentally killing Felicity's boyfriend, Billy Malone, who, to be frank with you, I really didn't care about this character at all. He was not even a plot device. I don't know what he was. He was just there. We got a few scenes with him over a few episodes, but we really never got a backstory. We never got any real emotional connection with him established at all. I understand what they were trying to do by sacrificing him, I guess, but it didn't have the emotional effect I think that it was supposed to have. I really didn't care whether this character died or not. There were some people thinking that he was Prometheus, but obviously that's not the case anymore. So it's a very sad thing for the character Felicity, but yet again, we never got to see a lot of interaction between her and this character Billy Malone. We got to see a few scenes, but nothing long-lasting, nothing that would make me feel bad for the situation. Also, there's a lot of fear that this would open up the doorway to the Felicity and Oliver romance again. Hopefully it doesn't go down that road. We had that over the course of 2 seasons. We've seen that, we've been there. It didn't really go well from a story standpoint or from a character standpoint, so let's stay away from that. But the big reveal in the episode came in the very last moment of the episode where Oliver is feeling very depressed, very down, very unsure of himself when it comes to dealing with Prometheus. And we kind of have this great montage. We see all the characters, we see them kind of living their lives and things of that nature. It's very reminiscent of season 1. This entire season has been reminiscent of season 1. But at the very end, we see Laurel Lance in the Arrow lair, or the Arrow headquarters, or whatever you want to call it, and shockingly she's alive, I guess, or there is a lot of speculation of how she is there. If this is indeed our Laurel Lance, perhaps it is Laurel from a different timeline, perhaps it is Black Siren, because I believe she was supposed to reprise her role as Black Siren in this season. I'm not quite sure if it was supposed to be on The Flash, or if it was supposed to be on Arrow, but I know she's supposed to come back in that way. It is really interesting where they're going to go with this, because this is a rather big thing. I know some people don't like this. Some people didn't like the Laurel character at all, and I very much understand that. They didn't write her particularly well. They didn't really build up her character particularly well, at least to the point where she was a believable Black Canary. To me, Katie Lotz, her sister Sarah, is the real Black Canary. I know that's not the way it's supposed to be, but she has the fighting skill, she has the tenacity, she has the chemistry with Oliver that I don't think the character of Laurel does. But hopefully, if it is indeed the true Laurel, that this is kind of a new starting point for the character. Perhaps this is a way to clean the slate and really build up her character in a much better way. But overall, I have to say, I really liked this episode of Arrow. I thought it was very good. I really liked the sequences with Prometheus, the fighting, the choreography, the way the scenes were edited, I thought were really good. Also, I really liked the transitions between the present and the past. They were very seamless, they were very artistically done. I really enjoyed that. Typically, they do a good job of that when it comes to flashbacks, really in any way. The transitions tend to be very good. I'm also very curious what's going to happen when the flashbacks in Russia resume, because there was a little mention of Russia in the episode, specifically when it came to Prometheus, and a specific move that he performed was something that Oliver learned in Russia. Also, Prometheus, I'm really curious to see who it is. It doesn't necessarily have to be a male character, it could be a female character, it could be Talia al Ghul, for all we know. Perhaps she wants revenge for her father that Oliver killed in Season 3. With all that being said, please check out my other episode reviews for the other various comic book television series, as well as my movie reviews.